Today I'm sharing 6 reasons why Millennials and Generation Z aren't just ready for revival, but they're perfectly positioned for long-term sustained revival. Hi, my name is Andrew Hodgson and welcome to my channel where in 10 minutes or less we talk about life, faith, and what it means to be a follower of Jesus today. Now, a little while ago, I did a 2-part video series called Why Millennials Are Awesome. And in those videos, I talked about one of the defining marks of the millennial generation, which is this deep desire to make an impact on the world, or in other words, to be world changers. I talked about how this belief isn't just a good thing, but it's actually a biblical thing, and it turns out we're not narcissists after all. Now, in the writing process for those videos, I did a bunch of homework. I read a bunch of research articles, I read a bunch of statistics from places like Barna and Pew Research, and I also listened to some really interesting talks from some thought leaders in this area. And while I was doing a bunch of that stuff, there were some other things that stood out to me, not just about the millennials, but also about Generation Z who are coming up right behind us. Other things that don't just make us different from generations before us, but characteristics that actually set us up perfectly for revival. And not just a seasonal short-term revival, but a long-term sustained revival. So in today's video, we're talking about 6 reasons why Millennials and Generation Z aren't just ready for a short-term seasonal revival, but a long-term sustained revival. First, let's quickly define these two groups. Barna says that millennials are born between the early 80s and the late 90s, and Generation Z is born from 99 to 2015. And just so you know, I am well aware of the statistics around these two generations and their thoughts and their feelings towards church. In fact, I'll read some for you. In the US, only 2 in 10 millennials believe church is important or worthwhile. 59% of millennials raised in a church have dropped out. The percentage of Generation Z that identifies as atheist is nearly double that of the rest of the population. 35% of millennials have an anti-church stance, believing the church does more harm than good, and millennials and Generation Z are the least likely age group of anyone to attend church by far. However, on the flip side of that, 71% of millennials are at least fairly certain they believe in God, and of the Generation Z population that does go to church, they say they find answers to living a meaningful life, and the church is relevant to their life. So while by and large these two groups aren't going to church, and many of them do identify as atheists, there are still a lot of them that believe there might just be a God, and those who do go to church have positive things to say about it. So with that, let's jump into 6 reasons why Millennials and Generation Z are perfectly positioned for revival. Number 1, we crave authenticity. I don't know about you, but I have a strong disdain for the disingenuous, and so do these two generations. These two generations crave the authentic and the real. Enter #NoFilter. One study said that millennials can easily see through feel-good Christianity and are turned off by the inconsistencies and weak doctrines that are present in some churches' beliefs. And other statistics show that our generations are leaving church because the people in the church felt fake. We want the church to become what Jesus paid for it to become, and subsequently, we want to become what Jesus paid for us to become. And all of this translates to we don't want watered-down Christianity, we want the real deal. We want to become what Jesus modeled for us to become. Number 2, we're passionate. These two generations are passionate. Give us a vision that we can get behind and we'll really get behind it. We get behind brands that are more than just a product. Brands like Tom's that have a vision to do something more than just sell us something. This translates to passion for Jesus. I believe we might be the most passionate and hungry generation yet, but we need ones brave enough to cast that vision. That doesn't mean that there haven't been passionate or hungry people in generations past, but their hunger and their passion fuels us to go even further. One of my favorite books, in fact, I think I'd put it in my top 3, is called God's Generals. And it's basically just snapshots into the lives of revival leaders in years past. Those stories fuel me to want to get even more passionate about what God is doing. I believe that the most passionate evangelists, pastors, prophets, teachers, and apostles are going to come out of this generation. Number 3, we want to be world changers. I won't go into great detail on this one because a little while ago I did 2 videos on this topic, but let me summarize it like this. One of the marks of these two generations is our deep desire to do something that makes an impact on the world. Simply put, we want to be world changers. Imagine a generation of faith-filled sons and daughters that are marked by the presence of God and fully equipped to release His goodness everywhere they go. That is a generation that will see revival and bring reformation. If you want more on this one, I put 2 links in the description below to those 2 videos I did a little while ago. Number 4, we desire teamwork. Studies show that these two generations crave team environments. We want to be part of building something together. Studies show that most millennials entering into the workforce aren't looking for a boss, They're looking for a coach. And this translates into church unity. We are called to be the body and the bride of Christ. In John 17, Jesus prays to the Father that all of them might be one, just as you and I are one. These generations don't just like the idea of community and family, they actually crave for it to be realized. Number 5, we're early adopters. We're the generations who have grown up with the constant, fast-paced evolution of technology. We're constantly learning the newest app or update on our phones, not necessarily because we set out to learn it, but because it's just second nature to us. And if we ever do have any questions or do want to learn something, we turn to places like YouTube to find out how. The point, we're adaptive, creative, and quick learners. In fact, I think that the phrase, "you can't teach an old dog new tricks," is going to end with our generations. Carey Nieuwhof says this about us: "They are capable of learning things faster than previous generations were. They were raised in a fast-moving world, and it shows." A quick study of revival will show that many revivals end because people and leaders get comfortable with what God is doing. And when God wants to reveal something new or take them to the next level, they haven't adapted. They don't think that this new thing is from God, and because of that, the revival begins to dwindle. So our generation's ability to learn fast translates to a hunger and a desire not to stagnate, but to go deeper and further than ever before. To learn what God is doing and saying now, but also to keep an eye open for where He is taking us next. I believe that this is the characteristic of these two generations that is going to translate into long-term sustained revival. And finally, number 6, we want an experience. Our generations usually don't go to any old coffee shop. We typically don't go to Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts because it's not just about the coffee, although good coffee is important to us, it's also about the experience. This translates into a deep desire for a real experience and encounter with God. We don't want to just read about moves of God, we want to experience God and experience His presence for ourselves. 2 years ago, my wife Laura and I started hosting worship nights in our home because we had a deep desire to create a space that wasn't concerned with getting to the announcements on time or saying hi to 5 people around us or getting to lunch on time. Our only concern and passion is the presence of God. So there you have it, 6 reasons why Millennials and Generation Z are perfectly positioned, not just for revival, but long-term sustained revival. We're a passionate bunch who desire authentic community and Christianity, who want to see the world totally transformed by real encounters and experiences with God. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, it'd be really cool if you hit that like button. And if this is the kind of content you like and you want to see more of it, why not hit that big red subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you stay notified every time there's a new video. See ya!